I guess I'll just call this series Wannabe Comics because I'm not creative enough to call it something else. Look, here's the thing. I don't have a comic book haul. All I want to do is talk about the comics that I've gotten in the past few weeks. Today is April 15th, 2025, which means tomorrow is New Comic Book Day. I'm pretty sure I only have one book to look forward to tomorrow because I don't have the money to be getting like tons of books every week. Plus, I don't have the time to read them. Like, I'm doing good to keep up with what I have. So that's what we're doing. Wannabe Comics Volume 2. I have a decent stack to talk about over the past few weeks. There's been a ton of exciting stuff. I'm excited to get into it just a little bit. You can also follow me on my blog where I usually post my thoughts first, but I kind of just wanted to get my thoughts out there on video first. So everything that you see here will have a written review if you want to see me go a little bit deeper on it. Alright, that being said, first on the list is Star Wars Jedi Knights Issue 2. I really liked the first issue of this. I think I even made a couple videos on it. This issue answers a question though. In the first issue, there was a bunch of Jedi that we know and love working together on this planet, kind of taking charge in this war that this planet was having. We got to see Mace Windu and Yoda kind of resolve those conflicts. Essentially, I think this series is going to work kind of like Star Trek, where every single issue is its own thing. While there is some carryover from the first issue, especially regarding who attacked Qui-Gon, this issue is very much its own thing. So this issue, it follows Yoda and Vecna Mooncrest, a Jedi whom I know nothing about, but I'm happy to learn more about. In a nutshell, they're facing off against a big baddie and a bunch of gross bad guys. That's about it. I gotta say, I liked the first issue a lot better. The art was definitely cool. When Yoda was talking, it felt like it should be Yoda. The subject matter itself just didn't really hit for me, and it felt kind of fillery a little bit. But filler isn't bad, it was created well and it was enjoyable to read. It just didn't speak to me as much as the first issue did. So there you have it, Jedi Knights Issue 2. Next on the list, we have another Star Wars book. We have Star Wars Fear of the Jedi number 2. Now, I jumped into this series thinking that this would kind of be standalone and I would just be able to jump right into it and understand what was going on. That is definitely not the case. It's not a bad book, I'm actually quite interested to learn more. But as I was reading, I realized that this series basically follows the main Jedi from the very beginning of the story. Duh. Keeve Trennis, I think is how you pronounce her name. So I remember Keeve in the beginning being a Padawan in the early High Republic issues. Now in this story, it's seeming like she's a master. So quite a bit of development has happened there. And what's sad to me is I just have not heard anything about this character. I know nothing about her. So it sounds to me like I need to do my homework and go back and start from the beginning. That being said, I don't plan on stopping getting the book month to month. I want to have it for sure. But at the same time, I just really feel like I'm thrown right in the middle of something that I don't fully comprehend. There's the occlusion zone, all these other things that I just know nothing about. So I need to really do my homework, but I at least wanted to show that I had read it. The art was really cool, the action's cool, the conflict seems interesting. It feels like Star Wars, but it feels like it just really does feel like a different time, which I'm drawn to. So that's Fear of the Jedi Issue 2. Next on the list, we have Absolute Green Lantern number 1. This is a continuation in the Absolute continuity, so Absolute Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Green Lantern. Now, I just want to be straight up, I know very little about Green Lantern. I'm jumping into all the Absolute stuff from issue 1 because it would be so epic to collect as many as I can of these month to month and, have them for safekeeping. This feels like the freshest take DC Comics has had in a while. I've talked about this a lot on my blog. I've talked about this in other videos. I'm a big fan of the Black Label, which kind of has its own continuity going. There'll be one-off stories or in some cases continuations. So think The White Knight, for instance, from Sean Murphy. I love that book, by the way. Need to read Beyond the White Knight. That's besides the point. This feels like that. New, fresh, bold, but it's not just Batman. It's everybody, like I said before. I've been skeptical about picking up some of these. I'm glad I am because each series definitely has its own thing that it's doing to kind of turn the current canon on its head. And Green Lantern is no exception to that. The art is different. It's different than anything else. It feels like this would be the easiest one to kind of take and make into an animation, and it kind of has that anime style to it. The art is just a little bit different than I was expecting. In this universe, it's seeming like Hal Jordan is actually going to be the Black Hand, which I had to do a little bit of research on because I don't know anything about Green Lantern really, but I guess that's one of his main baddies. So the fact that one of the main baddies is now becoming like one of the usual good guys, you know, Hal Jordan being the Green Lantern, this feels like it could be a really fun read. It seems like there could be a lot of twists and turns. This issue is really just purely vibes and trying to establish and give us some exposition about who is the Green Lantern, what is her name? The Green Lantern in this universe is Jo Mullein. After doing some clicking, it seems like that's a really big deal. Again, I know nothing about Green Lantern. I'm seeing this as a fresh start, a jumping on point for me, and I'm excited to learn more as I read more. And I'm interested to see where it goes. There's a lot of mystery, lots of questions, lots of things that I want to know more about. But again, this is like jumping into a brand new series that I know nothing about. That's my thoughts on Absolute Green Lantern #1. Next on the list, we have one of my favorites that I got over the past few weeks. That is Absolute Martian Manhunter #1. I did go ahead and pick up a foil copy of #1. I couldn't help myself. I saw this preview in Flash #1, Absolute Flash #1, and the art just immediately grabbed me from that preview. And I didn't read too much into the story because I was like, okay, I want to be able to go into this blind and really enjoy it. And boy, I'm glad I did, because this did not disappoint. Basically, in a nutshell, there was an explosion at the beginning of the issue. John Jones, he was in an accident, and he spends the entire issue trying to unpack his trauma. But as he does that, we as the reader are taken through, a period of time. We just see kind of glimpses into his mental state as this issue carries on. And as it goes on, we see more and more of this really strange and vibrant color that comes to life, which I can only assume to be the Martian Manhunter. Now, how he gets those powers and how it is this way, I have no idea. But I think that's kind of the point. It sets the tone in a lot of ways, but it also gets you to ask questions as to how these two things correlate. For instance, John Jones is a detective, and it seems like he is really addicted to work. He's neglecting the more important things. He really isn't. He's trying to just throw himself into his work to be distracted. I think they're trying to subtly tell us that, like, avoiding your mental health and just keeping yourself busy, like, that doesn't work. Like, you have to do the work. So towards the end of the issue, we see the colors getting more and more vibrant until we get some pretty gnarly imagery that made me super duper excited for issue 2 whenever it comes out. Overall, I really liked kind of the juxtaposition between moments where this genuinely feels like True Detective or something, but then we get this like burst of color, and those two worlds kind of colliding kind of really creates this deep visual color story that just makes me ask a ton of questions. And I mean, I poured over these pages because I loved it so much. It was really, really cool. One thing I really like too is like, he's like fighting with himself and his inner thoughts and like all these different things. And I like how that kind of speaks to the trauma element, because we have these things that we know we have to work on, because let's face it, all of us have been through trauma at one point or another, and many of us actively avoid that. I'm excited to see what sort of like psycho-analyzing narratives, that kind of get broke open in the process. That's my general thoughts on Absolute Martian Manhunter #1. Next on the list, we have one of my favorites so far, quickly becoming one of my favorite comic series I've ever read, and that is Absolute Batman. I have issue 6, I also have issue 7, and I picked up a variant of issue 7 because it looked really cool and it was like the last one, so I just couldn't help myself. So Absolute Batman #6 wraps up the Zoo arc, which was basically like the first season of this story, is how Scott Snyder, the writer, likes to talk about it. And man, I really, really enjoyed it. They explored a lot of stuff, they set a lot of stuff up, they made me ask a ton of questions. Like, they set all this stuff up and they did get to a good stopping point that kind of resolved some things. And the way they ended that first arc, simply, like, it just made me want more. So I was really, really excited whenever Absolute Batman came out last week, because I had just caught up on the entire story and, like, I was foaming at the mouth for more. I have more to say about Absolute Batman in a deep dive video that I'm going to be working on, so stay tuned for more on that. General thoughts though, issue 7, it was really an amazing return for me. Like, I was really excited. We do have a different illustrator on this issue, which I'm not complaining, like, it's fine. It just was weird, like, you could definitely feel the tone shift just by the way the art was done. And it did feel colder, it felt darker. This is the first part of a 2-part series featuring Mr. Freeze, and this tone shift was completely different. There were things that happened that I did not see coming. And again, just as I got really excited for what was to come, it was over. And it left us with a sick, nasty cliffhanger that I have to wait like a whole other month for. So that was my Absolute Batman number 7 thoughts in a nutshell. Stay tuned for that deep dive video. I'm working on it right now. Next, we have my final stuff that I've been reading over the past few weeks, which is a total wild card that I was not expecting to love so much, and that is Absolute Superman. So I had picked up the first issue digitally, and I saw these at my local comic book shop. I saw 4 and 5, I picked those up, and then once I started reading issue 1, I realized that I wanted to keep up with this series month to month. I went ahead and subscribed and got issue 6 to read as well. I'm fully caught up on Absolute Superman. I'm working on content for that too, and there's just so much I could say, but for right now, I just have to say I love this. I like this almost. I would probably go, I like Absolute Batman number 1, I like Absolute Superman number 2, and then my third would probably be Absolute Martian Manhunter. I really like what they're doing with this Superman. He just feels so different. He's called a hippie at multiple times in the story, which is kind of funny, but like it kind of tracks based on the way he's acting. He's just a free spirit, but he's also kind of like this vigilante, so he kind of has like a Batman vibe to him. We get some hints of Injustice Superman in there too. This is a young Superman. This is a Superman, like Superman has a negative connotation. It's almost like taboo to talk about it. And I just really love what they're doing with the lore and how they're kind of establishing like the Krypton element from the beginning. It's just really, really impressed me. Like it kind of scratches the Batman itch, but like this new Batman is so much darker than normal Batman's. And like this new Superman is a rebel, but he's also like super wholesome. So I'm kind of getting like the full experience between both of these stories. And I'm chomping at the bit to get issue 7 whenever it drops. I'll also be doing a deep dive on Absolute Superman as well. So stay tuned for that. That's all I have for today. Like I said, that's been a few weeks of comics that I've been collecting that I've just been kind of waiting to give my general thoughts on. I think I'll call this series Wannabe Comics, and I might do it every few weeks. But again, I'm still going to be making more comic videos. I'm going to be doing a deep dive on Batman. I'm going to be doing a deep dive on Superman in the Absolute Universe. And who knows, I might do more deep dives in the future. I don't know. But those are the 2 that I'm working on right now, and I want to make them really good. That's all I have for you today. So until next time.